party people. Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week I am joined by my good friend Drakoniques for a game of Rivals in my superhero school. Rivals in my superhero school is I like saying it like that. It's got question marks and it makes me smile. Rivals in my superhero school is a game about, Rivals in a superhero school. It is a game about the longtime rivalry between a hot-headed, fiery bruiser and a cool, calm, and collected passive player as they butt heads and, negotiate their sort of opposing ideologies over a tumultuous year at the most prestigious superhero academy there is, before finally coming to a head over one big showdown at the end of the school year. It's great. It was super fun. I had a ton of fun playing it, and I think you'll have a ton of fun listening to it. You can find more information about Rivals in my superhero school in the show notes. Drak is a prolific tabletop RPG streamer and content creator, one of the co-founders of Friends Who Roll Dice, one of the principal events organizer for Friends Who Roll Dice, a cast member on the Super Idols RPG podcast, which is a narrative play tabletop RPG podcast about teen idols with superpowers. He is also on a ton of different streams, including ones for Encounter Roleplay, Rule of Lore, Chromatic Chimera, and many, many more. I'm going to link as many of these streams and podcasts in the show notes as I can. There are a ton of them. You can also follow Drak on Twitter at Drakoniques, that's Drakoniques, to find out all of the cool stuff that he is working on. But there is one specific thing that I want to call out. And that is, I mentioned Drak is a co-founding member of Friends Who Roll Dice, which is a tabletop Twitch channel devoted to original RPG storytelling, fostering diverse and mindful community engagement, supporting indie creators, and having a whole lot of fun. Friends Who Roll Dice is also from November 29th through the month of December, running a charity benefit event raising money for disaster relief efforts in the Philippines. The Philippines were recently hit by some major typhoons in the last few months, including the most powerful one to ever hit landfall in recorded history. Friends Who Roll Dice are raising money for those relief efforts, which is a wonderful cause that I hope you personally will go and support. And they are running a ton of special tabletop events throughout the month of December. The first event that they're running is actually November 29th. That is this Sunday from 12 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. So go check that out. Go support a very worthy cause at twitch.tv/friendswhorolldice throughout the month of December. You can also find more information about that as well as everything else Drak is working on in the show notes. And now before we dive in, I've got one more quick thing to cover with you, and that is that this episode is once again brought to you by Boldly Go, optimistic science fiction role-playing, currently funded on Kickstarter, so you can go get your book, make it a reality. Boldly Go is a science fiction role-playing game of diplomacy, problem-solving, mysteries, and exploration. The players are highly trained officers of Space Fleet, who are in command of a starship that they design and customize on behalf of the Stellar Alliance. They traverse the galaxy, setting course for distant systems, wandering alien planets, searching for new species and cultures, and traveling bravely to locations that few have visited before. Obviously, I am a big fan of optimistic sci-fi. I'm a really big fan of Star Trek, which this is like riffing a lot on. And I think it's a wonderful game, and I think one of the things that I really love about it is the level of customization that it brings to the game itself. The fact that you can customize, obviously, your characters, but your ship, the ship's captain, the episode structure that you're going on. There's all sorts of tables to help you build out a Star Trek-like episode. I think this is a really awesome game. I'm really happy that it's funded on Kickstarter, and I think you should go back and get your copy of this amazing, cool game. You can find more information about Boldly Go in the show notes. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am super, super excited to be sitting down for an extremely fun game with Drak. Drak, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very excited for this. I'm pumped.
I'm very excited too. This is a recording I've been looking forward to for a while because this game sounds so fun, and I think you're going to be the perfect person to play it with. So I think this is going to be great. That said, real quick before we dive in, why don't you take a moment to let the lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
Oh, okay. So there's a lot going on right now. The thing that will be going on when this podcast is aired is that I'm still, hopefully, unless I get kicked out, will still be the co-founder of Friends Who Roll Dice. We're a TTRPG Twitch channel where we just play a bunch of TTRPGs and hold a bunch of charity events. Where we play a bunch of indie TTRPGs for charity. I myself personally, you can find me all over the place playing up all a bunch of TTRPGs. I've got one campaign coming up called I Hunt campaign, which you want Encounter
Mhm.
RPG. I've got another Burn Bright campaign that'll be over on Chromatic Chimera. And the chances are I have other things going on because I'm an addict and I don't know how to say no to offers.
Same. I feel that. This is relatable. This relates to me specifically.
So, I mean, I guess if you want to find out what else I got myself into, you probably have to follow me on Twitter because I definitely tweet about it.
Perfect.
And that's at Drakoniques.
All right. Well, today, speaking of having extra projects on our plate, today we're playing a super fun game that I'm very excited about. We're playing Rivals in my superhero school. The way it's written out in that very specific way, which I am a sucker for a very well written out, a title that tells you to read it in a certain way makes me happy every time.
I love it.
So this is a game about rivals in a superhero school. We are going to be playing two superheroes in the most prestigious superhero school that there is, and for one reason or another, we are on opposite ends of a long time rivalry. One of us will be playing the red student, filled with a fiery determination and an emotional disposition that cannot be contained, even when it would be wise. And the other will be playing the blue student, wrapped in a contemplative aura and an intelligent demeanor, always thinking of the next step, even when it makes others think of you as an outsider. So I guess the first question is, do you want to play red or blue?
Oh, I kind of want to play red.
Go for it. All right. I can play quiet and contemplative. That works. All right. So we are forces in opposition. And the first question that comes up in the game is one of us is going to roll a d6 and it's going to tell us the nature of our relationship, and then we're going to flesh out a little bit of who our characters are, what our powers are, and how we relate to each other.
Okay.
Would you like to roll that d6?
Yeah, I'll roll. Just a 4. Blue and red are competing for the approval of a fellow student.
Ooh.
Oh.
I want to posit that there is a Teen Titans-esque, popular kid superhero team at this school that is, or somewhere between the Teen Titans and Young Justice, where they're out doing world-saving important things, and they have an opening, but there's only the one opening.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
It's one of the Young Justice kids is lost in time or something, some very comic booky thing, and so there's one spot on the team, and we are both after it.
I like that. Yeah, just lost in time, or just something the incident that no one talks about for some reason. It's just the incident.
There's a lot of rumors about it.
Yeah.
Each one is more ridiculous, and the kids will not, or the team will not confirm or deny any of them. If you ask them, it's classified. We don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I love that.
And then one of the kids gets very angry and punches a locker and walks off, and you're like, he's going to have a really intense monologue. That's what he's going to go do. All right. So you are the red student. You are filled with a fiery determination and emotional disposition that cannot be contained. You come in many flavors, but the thing that always strikes true is your emotions being bared on your sleeves and a power more often antiquated with punching than thought out plans. So let me ask you this. Do you have thoughts on what you might want your power set to look like?
Oh, I've always been a fan of explosions.
Oh, I do love a good explosion hero.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's because I just finished watching an episode of My Hero Academia.
Could be. It does come up. Could be.
I'll go with explosions. Yeah.
Okay. Is it more that you cause them hand to hand, or that you cause them from afar? Hand to hand. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I think I want my power set to be. I'm thinking electric powers, but specifically it kind of ties into the electrical impulses in the brain.
Oh, whoa.
Those kind of I think it's specifically electrical powers in sort of a weird sideways way, where it's less so Magneto and more so more so like I can supercharge my own brain's electricity, or
Oh
I can
damn.
like, or I can like touch a computer and like connect to the internet like through it, and like maybe it's that I am electrically charged. Maybe that's what it is, and like I can channel that into my brain and do like the math figures in front of my eyes, or like I can hack into computers. But like it's that like I am like my innards are electrically attuned, and I can kind of channel that through my body, but I can't necessarily shoot it outward.
Yeah. Very passive version, like passive use of
Yeah.
electricity.
I think my name is Brain Node, or just Node. I
Oh,
think it's
okay,
Node.
yeah, I
I like
forgot.
Node.
At least think of a name as well. Um oh god. Okay. C4.
C4 is a really good hero name. All right. So we've got our characters. We've got C4 and we've got Node. So what's going to happen is we're going to have 6 scenes. We have a 2d6 table that we're going to roll on, and each roll is going to tell us one of our 6 scenes. We're each going to roll 3 times on it. We're going to play out a scene, and as we're playing, we will at times either rely on our calm stat, which is our methodical thinking, our analytical strategies, like is being calm, or our rage stat, which is pretty self-explanatory. Um, when those things happen, we will roll some dice, and I'll walk through what happens when we roll dice. But those are our stats, and so with that, I'm going to go ahead and roll 2d6 and figure out our first scene.
Oh, okay.
So we are competing for a membership into this cool teen team that is going to save the world. So let me ask you this up front.
Yeah.
Why does C4 want to be on the team?
Oh. I think it's some deep-seated childhood stuff.
Mhm.
Outwardly, he just says that he wants to become the most famous hero.
I feel
Like,
that. I like that.
like he deserves to be. He's amazing. So that's naturally his spot. And the fastest way to do that is to get on this teens team.
I like that.
He probably has some kind of, in reality, probably has some kind of like superiority complex.
Mhm.
Probably was put down a lot by his like siblings, maybe when he was young. So just trying to, he's overcompensating now, I think.
I like that. That's that. That feels very classic to me. I'm here for that. I think that Node. I kind of think Node is a little bit of a coward. I kind of think Node wants to join a team because like my powers aren't flashy, and I'm a little bit afraid of like striking out on my own, and I see myself as like fitting into a team in a support role, and I see this as like an opportunity to fall in with a group early so that I don't have to try and like either form my own team or strike out on my own.
Oh yeah, I like the two very different approaches as well.
Yeah, I feel this. All right, I'm going to roll 2d6, and that's going to tell us our first scene. That is a 12. That is boxcars. One of you is severely injured in a fight, with the other visiting them in recovery.
Oh damn.
So what do we think? What do we think our fight is? Is this a student training exercise? Was this an actual villain on the field? What kind of fight just happened?
I reckon it would probably be. I guess it depends who's injured, actually, because I feel like C4, if he saw a villain, he'd probably just jump in.
Go ham.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, and if it was you, I feel like maybe it's possible for it to have been in, like, more likely to have been in a situation where you couldn't avoid it. So like training,
Right.
like an actual training exercise.
Is one of those more interesting than the other deal?
I think I don't know actually. I think
I feel like I'm a little more interested in Node getting hurt
yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
in like a training exercise, because that really gives a good impetus and really sets the stage for
exactly,
Node being like afraid of being like an acting hero. So yeah, I think that it was a very very, very X-Men Danger Room training exercise. Like the Sentinels came out and blasted lasers, and Node just like got distracted doing something like hacking a computer system and like didn't see the rockets that were like tearing towards that like ATM console and just was like barely saved.
Oh yeah.
So C4 is visiting Node. So we open on C4. We open in the hospital. I think we see flashes of that like exercise, and that's our introduction to we'll call it Cape Academy. Do you like that? You cool with the Cape Academy?
Yeah.
We open on Cape Academy, super prestigious. And it's like there's a whole room of heroes, and people are breaking off into teams. Like you're seeing like teams and factions like forming on the fly. And as all of this is unfolding, Node is like in front of a computer, like has like a hand on the screen and is like eyes closed and like matrix lines are running down. What moment do we see from C4 in this fight, like with giant robots flying around shooting missiles?
I think so. Everyone's like split off into teams and maybe like just quickly like shine out like not orders, but like little techniques and like maneuvers to to efficiently take out some of these sentinels. But C4 is not listening to any of them. He's just like running in head first, blasting every robot, every missile that comes towards him, not really caring much about teamwork. Every so often he'll try and like maneuver himself to get in front of the team so they can see him at work. Whether or not they notice, he's not really sure. None of them seems to like really seem impressed or phased by his like incredible explosions and ability to dodge speed and rockets and missiles. But yeah, he's probably just being as overly loud and explosive as possible to get their attention as he's taking out these bots.
Sure, that makes that I feel like that's when we kind of see the teen team like making calls, and like they're the ones like calling for these elaborate maneuvers as you just like tear past them and punch a robot in the face and it explodes.
Yeah,
and I think we see all of this unfolding. We hear all these maneuvers, and I'm still at this ATM, like still like hacking in, and there's a moment where there's like a half a second before the rockets hit me, where one of these like giant robots like I think I'm gonna roll for this.
Oh, okay.
To see if I was able to do this before I got hurt. And I'm gonna roll calm for this. And how rolling works in the game is I'm gonna roll 4d6 because I've got a calm of 4.
Okay.
I'm going to roll, so I'm gonna roll 4d6. For every 4 or 5 I roll, I get a success. For every 6 I roll, I get 2 successes, and for every 1 that I roll, I lose a success, and that'll tell me how successful or unsuccessful I was in the roll. That is 3 4s and a 6.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so what happens before I get hurt is you is C4, you see this you were punching one of these robots, you punch it in the face and it explodes. And another one, like as you're doing that, like you're kind of riding it, like you grab onto it, punch it in the face, and it's kind of falling backwards. But another robot raises its like fist cannon at you and is about to shoot when suddenly its eyes go green and it like points at another robot and shoots. And like I have hacked into this robot through this ATM console. I think go ahead.
I think when he notices that, because I feel like we probably had been rivals for a while before this, so I know your power set. When he notices that you did that, he just like turns to you and just says, "I didn't need your help."
And I think I just chuckle. I think like we get a super close up on my mouth, and I do that anime grin, and the giant robot like turns to you and throws a thumbs up.
Oh god!
And then goes off to fight someone else. And in this moment, like I am looking like such a star, and I think I get hit with the missiles because I'm showboating a little bit, right? Like this giant, I've hacked this giant robot. I'm tearing through things, and like it's this huge impressive moment, but like when it happens, like, but in doing so, like, it goes so well that it kind of bites me, and I just lose track of like the situation around me, and I get hurt in the process,
I think that works. Yeah.
which I kind of love because it's kind of a very out of character moment for Node based on what we know about him so far.
Yeah.
So we cut to the hospital. Um, how do you make your entrance into the hospital? Are you kicking down doors to find me? Are you reluctantly shuffling your feet on your way in? Did you come on your own volition? Like, talk me through your how C4 enters and what's on C4's mind as you're coming in.
C4 is not coming on his own volition. He got told. So I think so just to rewind a bit, I think the groups
Mhm.
everyone split off in the exercise was like designated by the teacher or professor
Yep.
of the school, of our class. And I think
Mhm.
I was meant to be I was on Node's team. And the whole point was like for the team to work together, like a teamwork building
Yep.
exercise. So
I
I
love
think
that.
when Node got injured, you probably got visited by everyone else but me, and then the teacher of the class like found out that I hadn't visited you and essentially forced me to go. Like probably gave me like uh probably like you probably like missed some classes recently, so you probably gave me like homework to give to you and forced me
Yeah.
to go over to visit you. And I'm just kicking down doors. Like I walk straight past the receptionist, even though they're calling after
It's
me.
no, it's not. Sorry, it's not actually visiting hours right now, and
He's
you're just
right
tearing
past,
past.
and then yeah, he just like kicks down every door, pokes his head in. If it's not Node, he just leaves and goes to the next door.
You kick down like 4 doors.
Just one of them is like one of those like I probably like kicking somehow. I don't know how. I probably got lost. I just walk into a surgery, a live
Mhm.
surgery happening. I'm like, I actually seem like feel bad for this one. I'm like, oh, sorry about that, and then go back to like storming through.
The hands are up like can we help you with something, and you just shuffle off.
Like, well, not bad. And then yeah, and then I eventually kick down your door.
So I'm gonna make another roll here to see, because I think when I see you, I want to like mouth off to you a little bit, but I think like it's so out of my element that I'm gonna roll for rage to see like if I can muster up the courage to stand up to you a little bit in this moment. That is a 5 and a 4.
Ooh, that's too.
So I think in this moment, like, you come in and I'm like, oh, now you're here. Oh, now you're here. You're here to watch over me. Great. It's great to see you now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you needed me to babysit you.
Oh, uh, funny coming from the person that was almost shot in the face with a laser cannon. I
Oh,
usually
wow.
your welcome would be appreciated.
You know, that is also funny coming from someone who was shot with a laser cannon. You know,
Well, if the team that I was assigned committed to their role and weren't trying to butter up the teen team, then maybe I wouldn't be here. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten shot. But here we are, and that's what happened. And so here we are.
I think C4 just like he has the homework he's meant to give Node in his hand, and he just kind of like does a little explosion and burns it up,
Oh
and then just
no!
tosses it onto Node's bed.
And I think I lock eyes with you, and I'm like, I already downloaded it. Honestly, I'm not really even sure why they sent you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sure either. Maybe they thought you're gonna hurt yourself again.
And I I think like I think at that moment, like, the fact that we both like reach that agreement, even as we're like picking at each other, like, kind of makes me go quiet for a moment, and I'm like, why did they send you? Like, why? I don't need. Look, I know I got hurt, but I don't need a babysitter. I can. I swear I can do this on my own. I don't need. Who am I kidding? I'm hopeless. I'm gonna spend a lot of time in this hospital bed.
Seafood. I think like probably this is probably like around lunchtime, so I feel like a nurse probably like came in with some food for you,
Mm-hmm.
a little like a juice box or something. I don't know. I think Seafood just grabs the juice box and then takes a seat and just starts sipping on the juice box. That's most definitely for you, but he doesn't care. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, stop. Well, I'm not here to be like a pity party. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Come on, everyone gets in the hospital eventually. It's just a moment of time.
I if I nobody on none of them got in the hospital. That they were fine. The teen team, they were perfect, and I why couldn't you have been perfect like that? You were out there, they were giving you orders. They practically offered you a spot on their team, and you could have. I just if I were in that spot, I would have listened to everything they had to say. I would have taken every order and I would have smiled while doing it.
I don't take orders. I don't need to take orders. I was completely fine without the orders they were throwing out. I just needed them to know that. I know that they need me on the team. I don't need to be on their team. They need me to be on mine.
And I think at this moment, like I climb to my feet and I'm kind of holding on to the mobile IV thing, and I get real close into your face, and I'm like, and that's why you're solo, and that's why you're gonna stay solo. Now I gotta go get a new juice box, and I wheel myself off. I wheel myself back down the hall to leave you alone with those thoughts.
Yeah, he just kind of stands there for a moment, like clenching his fists tight. And then, I don't know, if there's like a cookie left from your little lunch, he just grabs that and then leaves.
I might ask you for a roll here.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
might ask you for a calm roll to avoid popping off the
Oh,
handle a little bit.
okay. No, I don't. A 2 and a 3.
All right. So how do you pop off the handle a little bit,
Oh, okay. So
or how do you blow off stress after this interaction?
I think he stands there for a moment, like fist clenched, like he's trembling. You can physically tell that he's trying to keep everything bottled up. And then the first thing that like shows, I think it's kind of like probably reveals how closely tied to his powers are to his emotions. Before his face breaks, his powers do. So he starts like little explosions start popping off in the palms of his hands, even with them clenched. And then he just like grabs at the pillow of No's bed and throws it. As he throws it, like blows it up, and just like starts kicking, throwing the things across the room. And when he just sufficiently like destroyed everything, he takes a deep breath and then just walks out.
And I think as you walk out, I think our segue into our next scene, which I'm going to ask you to roll for. I think as you walk out, like six like Men in Black style agents run in to clean up the room because a superhero just literally exploded, so they have to clean things up, but like agents just swarm the room, and like we see that happening in the background as we follow you. So why don't you roll 2d6 and tell us what our next scene is?
Okay. Next scene is a 4. So that's both of you run into each other in a situation that neither wished the other knew about.
All right, so it's been a couple days. I think I'm back out of the hospital. What is it? I think the situation. What is the situation? What is the worst possible situation for C4? Because I think the worst situation for Node, and the situation that I wish C4 didn't know about for Node, would be like Node has picked up on a radio wave, like an errant radio wave, like a scanner crossed Node's mind, and heard about like a supervillain like doing a bank robbery, like a low level, like a shocker level villain is like stealing for like robbing a bank,
Yeah.
and is like, ooh, an opportunity to really stand out and get noticed, especially after that blunder. And I think the reason that I hope C4 doesn't know about it is because it is a fight, and C4, if he knows about it, is going to upstage me 1,000%.
Oh.
So let me ask you this: what about this situation makes C4 wish that Node had no idea that it's happening?
So does it have to be related to the bank robbery?
Not necessarily. If there's another detail you want to add in.
Ooh. So I think he also heard about the bank robbery, and he kind of is he not even heard of it. He probably was like walking by when he saw it happening. But I think the thing that he doesn't want him to notice is that he was walking with his mum, because his mum she makes him take ballroom dancing lessons. So I think he's coming back in like the full like ballroom dancing get up when he sees the robbery happening, and he's like he's probably going to jump in. He thinks he can deal with it quickly before anyone comes up, like shows up, and then he sees Node, and that's basically seeing him like essentially a mama's boy, because he's very, very, he doesn't want Node to see him like that. I think his mum is probably still around. Like his mum is like probably watching it happen. I don't think she's probably not super powered. But yeah, I think he puts on different faces for his mum and his I was gonna say friend, but his rival.
Yeah, I love that, because the vibe that I get from your mom is very like if she's putting you in ballroom lessons and is like picking you up, I get a big Midoriya's mom vibe from that, of like she is like super loving and supportive, and that is very funny to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And so she's like behind a barricade, like hand on her mouth, like, oh my god, my son is gonna save the day.
Like she's probably got like a C4 shirt that she made herself.
She's hastily pulling it out of her bag and putting it on over the rest of her outfit. Yeah. Okay. So I think we join this fight in media res. Like I think we're in the middle of the action. A villain that I'm gonna call Knuckle Duster, and I think he's got just big giant metal like power gauntlets, is like punching through a wall. He's got the bag of money. Like if we're going superhero, we're going peak.
Yeah, we're going. He's got a bag of money and a dollar sign in there.
Yeah, right. Dollar bills are falling out of it. Like if we're going for this, we're going 100%.
Yeah.
And he's punched through a back wall. And I think we see this happen, and we're both a fair ways away. And I'm going to say, like, before either of us has a chance to definitively act, like, we're both kind of ready in an action position. And that's when we see each other. Or do you think we see each other later, like, when we're actually, like, engaging with Knuckle Duster?
No, I think we see each other in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine us, like, being literally on either side of Knuckle Duster. Like, we both came from different directions. We both arrived, and we see Knuckle Duster there. And then past Knuckle Duster, we see the other.
And it's just like eyes like dish plates, right? Like it's a complete, like, I think Node was like ready, like in a 3-point stance, like ready to rush in, and just like stands up, bolts up dead, like eyes like dish plates, hand over the mouth, like.
And like C4 is like kind of not fully crouched, but like crouched ready to like leap into action. And then the moment he sees Node, he's kind of like, he just tries to keep cool, but you can hear him just, fuck.
I think we see the little explosions popping up around C4.
And I think in that moment he'd try to avoid conversation as much as possible, so he'll just immediately run after, like, just go for Knuckle Duster.
All right, give me a rage roll.
Oh, that's my good stat. That's 2 6s, so 4 successes.
That's 4 successes. How do you? Yeah, so you leap into action. How do you bring the fight to this giant fist swinging bank robber?
Again, I'm seeing a lot from My Hero Academia. I'm sorry, I'm a big fan.
That's
but,
fine. That's
I think he kind of like
it's what the game is inspired by. So I feel like
true,
more like
yeah.
if we want to borrow from it, I think it's fair game.
Yeah. So he kind of like Node probably knows like he does this a lot. He launches himself with his explosion, so kind of aims him backwards and just launches himself forwards with the other arm outstretched, and just immediately tries to grab like Knuckle Duster by the face to just blow, like point blank blow his face off.
And I think like Knuckle Duster goes flying, right? Like the bag of money falls aside, he goes hurling backwards, and he kind of like barely catches himself by like punching a wall and like using that to kind of like twirl around so he can land on his foot and on his knee in sort of a kneeling position. And he kind of, but like, his face is messed up, like his mask is torn, he's got the very superhero battle damage, and he's running and his fists are charging up. And as that's happening, I think Node sees that and like looks around for a moment and grabs a handful of like a breaker box or like an outlet of some kind, like on a wall, grabs hold of that and like thinks for a minute, grabs hold of that and tries to channel through that electricity to talk to you through like a loudspeaker or like a screen or some way of like talking to you through like electronics on the other side of the alley so that we can communicate without yelling at each other.
Yeah.
I'm going to call that calm and I'm going to roll my 4 dice. That is, that's a flat wash.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh wait, what does that mean? What happens?
Oh no. I turn my back. I think I do that. I think I'm doing that and I like talk to you and I'm like, I tell you, I'm like, it was a great shot, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to take him down. What we need to do is, and you see from behind him coming and I've already turned and I'm like, you see me kind of like moving my other hand to like formulate plans. And I'm like, if you're able to throw yourself up to the second story and in that moment, like we get a very like comic book panel freeze frame of like, he is behind me with this big giant electrically charged fist. What do you do?
The whole time while Node is talking to me, I'm just going like, shut up, shut up, shut up. And I just start charging again. I just blast myself as fast as I can to get in between Knuckle Duster and you and probably take the hit.
Oh no. All right. Roll me a rage to see how well you're able to come back from that.
2 successes.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so I think you describe how you take the hit and come back swinging.
So yeah, I think I'm probably using, so usually he would use one arm, like one hand to blast behind him to propel himself. Mm-hmm. But with how far away Node is, he has to use both hands to just like, I guess, double the propulsion. And because of that, he wasn't able to move fast enough to set off an offensive explosion. So he ends up taking the full on punch from Knuckle Duster. It sends him flying, but he knew he was going to take a hit anyway. So like in midair, maybe he like twists his body just enough to decelerate himself with a few small explosions and land on his feet. I think one of his arms are probably not broken, but like very badly, like pretty badly hurt.
And I think I see that. And like in a moment of almost panic, I like, as soon as the power dissipates from Knuckle Duster's gauntlets, I grab hold of one of them. And I'm not really sure what I'm planning to do, but I start like cycling all of my energy like into that gauntlet to do something. And like I would like to roll rage here to like take control of the gauntlet in some way, because I think I'm acting more quickly in terms of like I need to save my friend, my rival, more than I am like I don't have a plan here, because this is a I just saw you take a massive hit for me, so I need to return the favor. And that's 2 failures.
Oh no.
I just get electrocuted. Like, I'm screaming and like I get knocked aside, and it just like it completely like overcharges me, and like I get hurled just through a window.
Oh boy. Again, under his breath, he like so. I think C4 like he the whole time he's been wearing a dance like a ball dancing like outfit. So I think he like a little bit bloodied, a bit like bruised. He kind of like pulls off his tie and throws it aside. You probably can hear his mom in the background like gasping because that tile is very expensive. And he just mutters, "No, you really need to stay back." And he just runs again towards Knuckle Duster, and he's just gonna keep blowing him up. That's all he does.
That's what he does.
Going full on aggressive.
Roll me that rage roll.
And I think the whole time he's trying to steer Knuckle Duster away from the building he just flew through. So it would have been 2 successes, but I rolled a 1, so it's 1 success.
I think that I'm going to make a roll because I think you've almost got him. I think you've got him on the ropes, and I think like he is like, you throw an explosion at him and like he's badly hurt and his gauntlets are starting to explode a little bit. And I think like we cut to in that building where like I'm like frantically like grabbing to put my hand on a laptop. And I finally like just close my eyes and I'm like, just turn them off. They just need to shut off. I'm not doing what I do. They just need to shut off. And that is 1 success.
Ooh.
So I think what happens is like, you're kind of approaching and like his gauntlets are sparking and like you're about to put him down, but they almost look like they're about to explode. And then they kind of like pop and sizzle. And then they shut off at that literal last moment as my hand like drops and I pass out. Like it took everything I had and it knocked me clean out, but I'm finally able to just be like, I shut them off. Like I shut them off and that's enough.
I think just to make it fancy, he I don't think C4 notices that. I think he thinks that he's put so much damage into this guy and these gauntlets that he's the reason why they don't work anymore. And he just like kind of grins when he sees like they're dead, that the gauntlets have died. And he just like, with one last like unnecessary acrobatic trick, he like jumps up and like kind of like over, like just flips over Knuckle Duster and grabs both sides of his head and just like sends off explosions and then lands on the other side and then in very anime style, he sees Knuckle Duster standing there for a moment and then he falls.
And I think as you leave, like I climb out of the hole in the wall and I watch you leave and I'm like, I hate how cool he is. And I see the gauntlets sizzling and I'm like, well, take the wins that you can, I guess, as I'm like holding my ribs, limping home. And I think the one thing that I notice as I'm limping off before I roll for our next scene is I see your mom in the shirt, like visibly like clapping. And there's this moment where like I'm mumbling to myself and I see that and I kind of drop my defenses a little bit and I smile as I keep walking back to class.
Oh yeah, I love that. And his mom is probably like hugging him and giving him kisses on the cheek after he comes back from that little fight. It's like, you are amazing. Oh my god, you're gonna be a big time superhero soon. And he's like, yeah, mom, yeah.
Oh, perfect. My next scene roll was perfect. It was a 2. So it's blue and red meet in the hallway with raised tempers flaring in both minds. So this has to be like the next day. Like this has to be both of us like bandaged up to hell, finally like confronting each other about what happened.
Yeah. I think I would go looking for you.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
So I think I've just got bandaged up. or not just bandage up, but I probably like maybe changing my bandages or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I do, I probably asked like the school nurse where you were, where Node was,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, oh yeah, they was in the English class, and I just storm towards you just as like I guess English like the class ends and you come
Mm-hmm.
out, and I immediately like slant into you, like shoulder check you.
And I spin for a minute, and I recover myself just in time to say, "You'd think a dancer would have a little more grace."
Oh my! I'm going to dance on your grave. I will dance on your grave.
Will it be a fancy ballroom dance?
How was your body? You got punched through a wall. Did that feel good?
No, it
Would you
really
like to go
didn't.
through that again?
Not particularly, no.
Then stop talking.
Look. All right, look. I am allowed to razz you a little bit to recover my pride.
I feel like you need pride in the first place to recover it.
That's a really good burn, and I can't deny that. Look, I don't know how to say this, but thank you.
For what?
Well, for not letting me get my head punched in, for one thing.
I didn't do it for you. I need to
Well,
take out that guy.
Yeah,
you were in my way.
I could tell that you were in it for you, but that doesn't mean that I didn't benefit from it, and I don't. And I'm not a splatter in a back alley because you were there to throw a punch, and I'm not happy about getting outshone. That was supposed to be my big moment, but if anybody had to do it, I'm at least glad it was you. Better the enemy that you know. Am I right? And I kind of like clutch my chest a little bit as I try to laugh.
I think he's just silent for a moment, just like kind of scowling, and then he just says, well, if you really want to thank me, pay for my dry cleaner bill. My suit is fucked up because of you.
And I stop for a moment. I'm like, oh, you mean the bill that got waived because of a technical error?
I hate when you do that.
And I smile. I'm like, no, you don't.
How are you feeling, for real?
You know what sucks?
Being thrown through a wall?
Being thrown through a wall.
You really should stay back.
I had a plan, and I was working through the details, and
see, that's your problem.
That's my problem, and that's it. It drives me. It drives me up a wall because, like, in my head, I see exactly how it has to play out, and everything makes perfect sense, and there's a clear order to things. And then the second it translates out into the world, there's a wrench that gets thrown into the gears, and nothing works the way it's supposed to. And I don't know how to get the plan that I see in here out to there. And it really just seems like you with your no plans, I'm going to go in and throw an explosion at you. It seems like that works great, and I don't know how to get to be like that. And it makes me so mad, and I hate it, and I hate you, but I don't know. It drives me up a wall.
You just need to stop thinking. Either you need to stop thinking, or maybe just this isn't for you.
I think at that moment, I'm making a calm roll. I think this might be my only roll of the scene. See, now I roll 4 or 5. Now I roll 6 sixes. I think in that moment, like, that is what I need to hear, and I kind of stand up a little bit, and I'm like, no, you're right. Like, you're right. Not about the not fit for this. You're right. I need to stop thinking, because if I hadn't stopped and thought and worked out a plan on how we could team up and make some great team tactics, I could have just told you to go in a direction, and I could have worked out a backup plan, and we would have been a good team had I not tried to steer the ship. I got to think about some stuff. This was a good talk, and I don't like to admit that, but I thank you for this.
I wanted to blow you up. What is happening?
I think I like tap you on. I think as you're saying that, I tap you on the shoulder, and you're just already alone in the hallway. I'm already walking off. I'm not walking off fast because I've gone through a wall, but I'm like limping away.
Yeah, and I just kind of like looked back like at the spot where you were and the spot and you walking away, and it's like, what just happened? I was gonna punch his face in. I just like.
Why don't you roll for our next scene?
Ooh, okay. A 9. So both of you take time apart from another, spending time with different students. Oh,
I like that. So would you like to play out your solo scene first, or should I?
If you don't mind, could you?
Yeah. So I think I go off, and like I think we see like a montage which we follow me as I walk off. And like I go to class, and like I'm not a hero for a while, right? Like we hear like, you know, I keep hearing you saying like you need to not think. And so it's just like a montage of like, I think I take off my costume and I like hang it in my locker, and I'm like wearing my t-shirt and gym shorts as I go to class, and like it's just a lot of shots of like me like watching things happen and like not participating, but like consciously like not really engaging with my schoolwork in a way that I don't normally do that, right? Like I'm normally the A+ student. I'm normally a bit of a goody two shoes. And like now I'm like sitting with a bunch of people drinking milkshakes in the diner around the corner, like, and I'm like, you know what? Like you just need to not think, and like it's clearly the happiest that I've looked, but like I'm consciously like not thinking about being a hero, and it's the first time that I've done that maybe ever. Like maybe ever, like as much as we talked about C4's kind of superiority complex, I think like Node has very much the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first time where I've consciously been like, I'm just gonna see what it's like to just be a kid for a hot second.
I like that. Okay, what would my scene be then? I think C4 goes the exact opposite route. He I think he leans into the whole I'm a hero, so I need to train hard. So I think he's probably like, I think from that fight, he probably noticed that he didn't blow Knuckle Duster away as hard as he thought he would originally. So I think he's probably like going to whatever the equivalent of a superhero gym is right now, and like practicing his explosions, trying to get them like bigger, brighter, louder, more powerful. Like to the point where it's like annoying everyone else, like who's probably training in the same gym. Like people probably like, you probably have like Elastic Man or whatever the equivalent of that is, practicing his stretching, and in the background you just hear fuck, and there's like constantly like explosions getting louder and louder as he's getting more and more frustrated with himself because he's not like,
I love that,
obliterating this brick wall or something like that.
So why don't we both make a roll just to see like how our individual montages like shake out?
Okay.
And we'll each roll with our good stat, I think. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That is two successes.
Six successes. I rolled 3 6s.
Oh, you have for sure like gotten the attention of the team, right? Like that time of you like hanging out in the gym like was exactly what it took for the popular kids to like catch, like for you to catch their eye.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out. I think he doesn't notice. I think he doesn't notice that they like watching.
No way. I agree completely.
He's so invested and so pissed off right now, especially with how Node walked away from that conversation with something, and he left it with nothing. He came to punch Node, but Node left with clarity, and C4 left with nothing. He's very frustrated right now, so he's just taking it all out and just fully focused on blowing whatever up that's in front of him in the gym.
Yeah, I love that. I think I didn't roll as well as you, but I got successes. So I think like I think you're getting the attention of the team that we're both trying to like win over a little bit, but like I'm finding something else, which is like I'm finding that like kids like me in a way that like I think Node feels like a nerdy child.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Very fair to say, yeah.
But I think that this is Node having a very like I guess kind of like freaks and geeks moment of like realizing that he's less unpopular than he thinks he is. And like he shows up at the diner like not wearing his hero outfit, which I he's definitely the child that wears the formal wear everywhere.
Yeah.
So like he was wearing a superhero outfit everywhere, which is weird. But like when he shows up wearing like like people clothes, like a group of kids that he's never quite interacted with and he assumed that didn't like him kind of like call him over to the table and like they laugh and like have this moment together.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's this moment of like he just needed to stop trying so hard and suddenly like he fits in a little better.
Oh, I love that. Like dichotomy, like just two opposites.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying a little less, and C4 is trying as hard as he can.
Yep, I love that a ton. All right, I'm gonna roll for the last scene that I'm gonna roll, and then you're gonna roll one more scene, and then we're gonna come to the end of our school year.
Oh yeah,
that is a 10. For an obstacle course, we are paired in competition against one another.
Oh, again, okay.
Oh, good scene.
Oh, okay. I think so. The whole time, I'm assuming it's like we're probably like on the same ends. I think it would probably be like because this is a superhero school, so they definitely have like make a fake city for us to like practice in.
Oh yeah.
Again, very much like My Hero Academia, but it also doesn't make sense. I can't stop pulling from that. So I think it's probably like a wrecked, is a simulation of a wrecked city, and we're trying to basically doing a rescue. We're trying to rescue as many people as we can as we go through the obstacle course. And I think the whole time I'm just like at the starting line, I'm just glaring at Node, like the whole time, just staring daggers into him as I'm like letting off explosions, little mini explosions in my hand.
And I think like for the first time, like I don't have this very serious hero face on. Like I'm not running the numbers in my head. I kind of smile and laugh at some friends, and then kind of finish putting on my gloves, and I like smile and I like wave, I'm like, hey, good luck. Hey, this is gonna be really fun.
I don't need luck. I think like seeing how calm you are just pisses them off so much more.
Oh, for sure.
Like you just got punched through a wall and now you're taking it easy.
All right, so roll me a rage to see how well you do. At like the objective here, is to make your way through the wrecked city and like rescue as many like robot civilians as possible while dodging robot alien invaders.
Yeah. Alien invaders. Okay. That is one success.
Okay. How do you narrowly avoid
two successes? I forgot force count as well. So it's 2 successes.
Oh yeah. Okay. So like, describe to me what the cool moment is that you're able to pull off when you as you're saving people in this simulation.
I think they probably, again, putting from My Hero, part of rescuing people is also not being scary in their eyes, because it'll be very hard to rescue someone who's scared of you.
Yeah, right.
So I think he's probably like trying to convince a robot that he's not the bad guy and that he's generally here trying to help.
As explosions are popping off all around you.
Yeah. And just as he just managed to convince the robot to like follow him, like trust him, an alien robot, the enemy suddenly, like a large one, just suddenly bursts out from a wall, just like an entire wall, just full on Kool-Aid Man's through it, and he instinctively like grabs the civilian and like just raises a hand, and you see like all of that training that he's been doing come to fruition, where he just lets off a huge explosion and a huge concentrated explosion. So it's not just like it doesn't just expand; it kind of like ends up being almost like a ray as well, and like just completely blasts off the head of the alien robot enemy, and then he uses that same momentum to launch himself backwards and take the civilian to safety.
That's fantastic.
The whole like the moment he does that, he like turns to look at Node and then grins at him like, "You can't do this."
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And I think Node steps up. I'm gonna roll my dice because I know what Node wants to do. I'm gonna roll my calm dice. That is also 2 successes. So I think that's perfect because I think Node's equally cool moment. I think Node steps up and is like kind of like shoulders are sagging, is clearly not like in the zone. Steps up, like the buzzer goes off. Node like looks over his right shoulder, jumps to the nearest like power box, grabs it, and all of the lights in the city shut off and all of the like alien robots like go like limp, and then proceeds to just walk around being like, hey robot, did you want to like come with? And like technically I save more people, but I think that like I think at the same time, like when I finish the test, our instructor is there like arms crossed, like, that's cheating. Like, you're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, why? It was the simplest solution. Everything here was mechanical. I don't understand what the problem is. And like now I'm getting a shit-eating grin as I'm like explaining this. And they're like, look, you save people, sure, but you have to add, but like you can't just like exploit edge cases. That's not like giving you practical training for the field.
I think they probably also like add like, what if there are other heroes working around 10? You just turn up all of the lights. You just gave them a disadvantage and starts like add like reasons to subtract points from you to make it equal. You end up equal with.
We end up the exact same score. Like you saved far fewer people than me and like had like struggled to like make people not afraid of you. But like the amount of points that I get deducted because I just blatantly like cheat and disregard the scenario, we end up at like literally the same score.
Yeah. I can imagine us like standing in front of the like leaderboard. Like they probably have like all of the students of that class, how much they rated, and we're just standing there. And the whole time you just actually I'll roll for it. But I was gonna say C4 just standing there, fist clenched, like trembling at the fact that he drew with Node.
I'm also gonna roll. Let's both roll our bad stat because I don't think I'm happy about like getting these points deducted.
I don't pass. I do not get any
I pass with one. I pass with 1 success.
I think C4 just not literally blows up, but he just starts yelling like, "How the fuck could I draw with you? You didn't even do the obstacle course properly. You fucking cheated. How the hell do I have the same amount of points as you? I should be up there alone. You should be right at the bottom where you deserve to be."
Now, hold on. I agree with you. I agree with you that we should not be tied. Because exploiting the situation, finding an advantage, and pushing it to its limits, those are the signs of a great hero, and I did all of those today. And like I am outraged that this has happened, but like I am still taking this as I'm still taking this as a win. I'm like I did everything that they asked. It is not fair that they deducted points because I didn't do it on their terms.
You cheated. Literally no one else could do anything like that. If there was no mechanical component, you would not have been able to do anything. You'd have been useless like always.
No one else could do that. No one else could do what I could do. That's the point of being a great hero, is that when it comes to be my moment, when somebody needs to get punched in the face with an explosion, that's your moment. And I see that now. I get that now. That's your moment. It was ridiculous. It was naive of me to show up at a bank robbery and think that this, and I like tap my head and sparks come out, was going to do anything on the field. But in that moment, when electronics we're causing problems, that's my moment. And frankly, it's not fair that they're going to try and take that away from me when I only have so many moments to give.
I think C4 kind of shuts up. He just like stares for a moment. He has his like permanent like resting bitch face on. He always does. But I think what he's like in the moment, he's thinking like he's seeing a confidence in Node, and he's not entirely sure how he feels about it. So I think he just like kind of like just like touch like and just turns and walks off.
And I think that's the exact opposite of the scene from the hallway earlier, where I'm like, you know, I look back and you're not there, and I look again, and I just mutter under my breath, "Did I just win a fight? Did I just win an argument with C4? That never happens. This is the best day of my life." Why don't you roll for us our final scene before the end of the school year?
7. So Red discovers a secret that could potentially prove equally beneficial or unfortunate for Blue.
Ooh.
So I guess what would that secret be?
I'm going to throw that to you. What is the secret that could, I'm going to say, yeah, what is the secret that you discover that could like completely ruin Blue's life, or like, or could be his big crowning moment?
Oh, well, it's very hard to make sure it's not to the point of villainy, because we're right.
I mean, frankly, it could be. Frankly, he's got a dude now, and if it could be a thing that could push him to villainy, I kind of love that.
I think at this point roles have almost reversed. I think now that Blue seems to be thinking less, I think Red's reached a point where he's starting to plan now. Like he's legitimately thinking like it's not kind anymore. I can't just let my body move. I need to think before I move. And I need to plan for every like possible circumstance. And I think he starts planning. He does a little like what Batman did to Superman, like having a backup just in case he needs to take out Superman, like with the kryptonite. I think he starts researching into like electromagnetism, like electronics, how they work, how they can be manipulated, and I think he. So I think in this school they probably have either a whole like department for it, or at least connections to companies that can do it, but make like gear for heroes, because obviously like normal clothes, normal weapons stuff probably won't be very useful to people with super strength or explosive hands or something like that. So I think he kind of like puts in an order for like some kind of magnetic field like creator, something like that would like disrupt Node's kind of abilities.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
And I think usually specialized gear like this is usually like off limits in normal exercises, but like every so often there would be a not exactly no holds barred, but like just they'll let you go a bit more extreme with the fighting.
It's like recess, for lack of a better way to like do it. It's just like free play, and sometimes people bring special equipment to that.
So I think he probably brings that special equipment. It's like he looks ridiculous in it, I think, and I think that further proves how desperate he's getting now. Like it looks like just a massive like it's probably like a neck brace. It looks like a massive neck brace, and there's like a low hum coming from it. When he walks in, he probably gets a ton of stares, but he does not care. Or the whole time, he's just got a shit-eating grin on his face and just staring at Node.
And I think I don't see you yet, and I think like there's a really specific thing that happens that like is really like big for you, is that like I don't turn to face you at first. Like everybody kind of turns and faces you and stares, and like I'm talking with my friends and I don't. until you're like right behind me and like close enough that I kind of feel your breath a little bit, or like I feel you over my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like close
Yeah.
enough that you are on me, and it's and like at which point we see things from Node's point of view for a split second, and Node, when he's not like actively channeling his power, like it just kind of is, you can see it from his eyes and there's kind of a buzz and he can kind of see other people's like electrical like fields and see like the pulses in their brains and
Yeah.
such, and like senses, can kind of get a sense of like all of the people that are around him. And like you were just like turns to face you and it's just a blank space
Yeah. And
until I focus. Like you have completely nullified like my natural ability to know where people are.
And I think he's like, C4 just grinning. I'm just grinning at that. Like I think he's used to. So I think C4 is like try to not sneak up on you, but like has certainly tried to approach you many times, but you always sense him before he gets too close. So I think the fact that he gets that close up before you even turn around, it just widens that smile on his face, and he's like, "Hey, Node, you think you're that? Remember, right? Drawing with me in that test. Why don't we spar?"
I'm gonna roll rage here because I think I'm very much not. Yep, that's very bad. And I think I think Node wants nothing to do with this. I think that you say that, and I practically fall out of my chair, and I kind of stand up, and I'm like, I don't feel like that doesn't feel like a fair use of my time.
No, I think
what are
we
you
should
wearing?
definitely spar. I think we should spar. Heroes should be ready to fight no matter what.
And like I'm kind of like backing up a little bit, and like I'm realizing what ridiculous thing you're wearing, and I'm like, look, I don't feel like just a straightforward spar is
Well,
the right way for us
not?
to come.
Why?
I don't
Why
feel
is
like
that? We should be ready for anything. What if a villain busts into his room and wants to fight you? What would you do then?
this this sucks so bad, and I love it. I'm so here for it because like people are gathering around, and like you're just twisting that knife so much, and I'm like backing up, and I'm backing up, and I'm backing up, and like there's nowhere I can back now because there's a crowd, and like we are in full on schoolyard fight mode now, where there's just like a crowd like pushing me back into it, and I'm like, okay, look, I don't think I don't want to do this.
Well, why is that? Well, what about, is it because there's no edge case for you to exploit? Is that it?
And I stammer for a minute, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna roll rage again. Oh, and that's a success. I'm gonna wallop you right in the nose.
Oh boy. Yes, I think I get like, C4 gets really close. Like he's like, yeah, I've got you now, and then you just punch him square in the nose.
Not even like a strong punch, just kind of like a whap.
Yeah, and I think he's like his head like gets like flung back, not from the like force of the blow, but like from surprise.
And I'm just staring at my fist like, oh, what have I done?
And everyone around us is like cheering, like fight, 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 fight. And
oh no,
C4 slowly like lowers his head again to make eye contact with Node. That's more like it. And then he just charges to try and blow up.
Give me that rage roll.
I feel like my character's actually oh no. That's technically a minus success.
All right. So yeah, how do you knock me over? I think what happens is you knock me over, but like I have just enough time to formulate like a quick thinking plan. So I'm gonna roll calm in response. But like, what does it look like when you first like knock me down?
So I think despite how angry he is obviously pulling his punches so he doesn't like kill you. We are still in school, but he's definitely trying to do some serious damage, like send you to a nurse's office. So I think he like does his typical like propelling blast behind him to launch himself at you, and just absolutely football tackles you to the ground. And is about to essentially just lay into you.
And I
But
think in that moment, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
oh
I think in that moment, like I hear your words again of like, just don't think. And I'm like, you're building up the explosion, and I pop up just enough to kind of like, I reach my hand out as if I'm gonna like catch you on the side of the head, but I go around to the back of your neck and I pull the latch on the collar or the neck brace, and it just falls right off. Like there's no technology to it. It's not a power
yeah,
thing.
no.
It's just it was connected with a latch, and I'm just like, I'm like, you don't got, and like in doing that, like distract you just enough where I'm able to like just kind of point a finger at you and be like, huh? Now we're on even ground. Now we're on even ground. You can't deny that.
Fine, you're still below me, and I'm gonna try it again. I think
Give
I'll
me
try
that
again to
rage.
blow you
Give me
up.
that rage
Yeah.
roll, and I'm gonna make a calm. Sorry, yeah. Well, you make a rage roll. I'm gonna make a calm roll, and then that's gonna determine which of us is
Ooh,
able to act first, which I think is gonna be the deciding thing in this schoolyard
yeah.
fight.
That is so 6 successes.
Oh my god! Yeah. Describe how you knock me out because I got 2.
Um, I think he was so taken off guard by how like I think out of everyone in the school, not even just between Node and C4, out of everyone in the school, I think C4 is definitely the one who has um the best hero instinct. So he knows what it looks like when someone's moving with a plan or moving with just pure
Yeah,
instinct.
for sure.
And I think he sees that in Node for a second, that just like pure moving from instinct, and I think that throws him off just enough to like just out of frustration. He doesn't actually blow up Node. He just like punches him.
And I think like it just takes one punch, and Node is just like out, right? Like Node is not a fighter. You just pop. Node is like back down, like and then the teachers are on us, pulling us apart. And, like Node is like owling, mumbling, like, "I got a plan. I got a plan. I got a plan."
And I think it frustrates. It very much annoys C4. Like he
Oh,
lets
for
himself
sure.
get pulled off. He doesn't like resist or anything, but he doesn't seem happy with the outcome, even though he won. And,
I think that makes sense. And so with that, we come to the end. We come to our final scene. The end of the year comes, and the rivalry is settled.
Oh,
I think what this is like we see some brief scenes. I think that there's a scene of both of us in the principal's office. I've got my nose taped up, and I've got like gauze in my nose, and I'm like, I had a plan. I'm
shut
telling
up!
you, I had a plan.
Shut up! And he just
And
like
we
you can
both
see,
get a suspension.
yeah, like both of our parents like come to pick us up or something like that. And
And
like I can imagine like the polar opposites is like our parents are probably best friends. Like they're talking up a storm while we're just sitting there, just rain clouds over us, glaring at each other.
And I think what we see, the final scene is, I think, like a quick shot of like you're at home grounded, and like a stone hits your window, and like another pebble, and you go, and it's the entire teen team are like floating outside, and they're like, "We've got a mission for you."
Fuck yeah! Let me get my costume.
And like they bring out a robot that is identical to you, so that you can still seem like you are being grounded. And as you're like carried, like you sneak away. And I think I'm trying to think, what do we see? What is so the rivalry is settled because you are given the role. Like you have proven yourself in front of the teen team. You won the fight with Node. Like you did all of these things. And I think Node, like I think Node is like riding his bike as he goes by, and because I think I think he probably wasn't grounded because like he spun it as like he got beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
But like he's riding his bike by, and he sees that, and like he taps on his, like, he pulls out an iPod or like an MP3 player or like his phone, and he taps it, and all you hear, and like in your Teen Team official like earpiece that they hand you, it buzzes for a second, and you just hear like, "Knock 'em dead, champ. Remember, don't think as much. It'll do you good." And you look over your shoulder and you see Node riding his bike off.
And I think, surprisingly, I think like C4 smiles and just responds like with a classic but more sentimental sounding "Shut up, nerd."
And I think that is game.
That was very fun.
That was so lovely. That was great. Oh, that was a blast. I had so much fun with that.
Oh god, I now realize that I really want to play in a superhero TTRPG. That was
Oh, that's great. Oh, that was fun. I was a blast. Well, thank you so much for playing this game with me. This was the best time.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, that was a ton of fun. That was my first one-on-one RPG, and it was way less nerve-wracking than I thought it was going to be.
Once you get into it, and you're telling the story, it melts away every single time. Well, real quick, before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
So, like I mentioned before, I'm all over the place, and I barely remember what I'm doing. To know exactly what I'm doing, follow me on Twitter at Drakoniques. That's Drakoniques. I'm very sorry about the weird spelling. The normal spelling of Drakoniques was taken. I'm the co-founder and the events organizer of Friends Who Roll Dice on Twitch, which is a TTRPG Twitch channel. And we just play a bunch of TTRPGs right now. Well, at the moment of this recording, I think we'll be done by the time this goes out. We're doing a charity event where we're raising money for the Rain Network and Earth Day Network. So even though the charity event will probably be over by the time this comes out, if you have the money, donate, please. Oh, I forgot to mention, I am part of an actual play podcast called Super Idols RPG, where I play a super idol magical boy. Think of it as like a pop idol plus magical boy girl genre. It's a ton of fun. I play a character that's the exact opposite of C4. He's that's sweet
a good
boy.
Pitch. You've sold me on the pitch.
It's honestly a ton of fun. We just had a finished recording session yesterday. It was wild. Definitely recommend listening in on that. What else? I'm going to be in a Burn Bright campaign over on Chromatic Chimera, where I play a bunch of telepathic insects.
I love Burn Bright so much, specifically because every time I hear somebody talk about it, they're like, "Yeah, I'm playing a sentient computer virus," and I'm like, "Dope!" Every single time, I'm like, "Hell yeah, hell yeah!"
It's so great. Yeah. It's so cool. Like I get to I can talk to people through their mind if I give them one of my insects to put in the ear,
it's very cool.
Great. I'm also going to be in an iHunt campaign. I don't even know if I'm allowed to announce this yet, honestly. I'm going to be in an iHunt campaign over on Encounter RPG. We have barely created the characters yet. That's how early the stages we're in. But it's going to be a ton of fun. The players I'm with are great. What else? I have a bunch of other stuff, but I can't remember them at the moment. So just follow me on Twitter. I'll definitely tweet or retweet them.
Hell yeah, and we'll link as much as we can in the show notes. But for now, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so much fun, and for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me, and thanks again to Drak for coming on the show. That game was... I love superheroes. I really, really love superheroes, and that game was just everything that I conceivably wanted it to be. I am so pleased with how that game shook out. Be sure to hit the show notes for a link to Rivals in my superhero school, as well as links to all of the different streams, podcasts, stuff Drak is working on, including the Friends Who Roll Dice month-long fundraiser to raise money for relief efforts in the Philippines. And be sure to follow Drak on Twitter at Drakoniques, that's Drakoniques. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Then head to our Discord at bit.ly/Party of One Discord. Head to our merch store at bit.ly/Party of One Merch. And if you enjoy the show, consider leaving us a nice Podchaser review, supporting the show financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or ko-fi.com/JeffStormer, or just telling a friend about the show or giving us some love on social media. Any of those things help us grow and do bigger, better, and cooler things. You can also support the other podcast I produce every week, All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast on the One Shot Podcast Network, powered by you. Every week, my best friend Aaron Catano and I take a listener-submitted prompt. We spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, press coverage of the show, or about coming on the show as a guest, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And I think that's all we do here, so until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody.